Hello students, welcome back to English Literature classes. Today our topic is Wordsworth as a poet of nature. Okay, write a note on Wordsworth attitude towards nature. Write a note on Wordsworth as a nature poet. और है थर्ड क्वेश्चन इसमें बनता है कि डिस्कस वर्ड्सवर्थ एज ए पोएट ऑफ नेचर. ओके, वर्ड्सवर्थ एज ए पोएट ऑफ नेचर. As a poet of nature, Wordsworth holds the highest place among all poets in English. His whole is devoted to the love to nature, though at different ages his love changes its aspect. For example, in the beginning of his life, he loves nature for its outward attraction, but this love leads him to emotional as well as mystical love to nature. Okay, there are some points for Wordsworth as a poet of nature. One point is his passionate love for nature. Second point is his mystical love for nature. Third point is a permanent of joy, nature, a permanent of joy. And the next point is nature is sublime source of blessed mood. And fifth point is nature, true source of perfect education. And the next point is conclusion. Okay. Then the first point is his passionate love for nature. All beautiful objects of nature attract the poet in the beginning. He became a passionate lover of nature. It was the first stage in his love for nature. At this time, he did not love nature for any sublime purpose. His sole interest was to feel its beauty in his eyes, like that passionate lover who stares at his beloved face all the time. I cannot point what then I was, the sounding cataract haunted me like a passion. As a passionate lover loves all parts of his beloved's body, Wordsworth loved waterfalls, mountains, dark, deep woods. Their color, shape, and size attract him. His sole occupation was to devote as much time as possible among beautiful objects of nature. The love was so physical that he could not retain the image of any object in the memory. And the next point, his mystical love for nature. उनका रहस्यात्मक प्रेम प्रकृति के लिए. It is Wordsworth's sublime love to nature that he finds divine glory reflected in objects and activities of nature. And I have felt a prescience that disturbed me with the joy of elevated thought. Seeing the rising and setting suns, he feels the prescience of a divine power to regulate also perfectly. Likewise, the vast sea moves round the earth and the air blows to the sky, confirm his viewpoint that God is not a separate power but an invisible force interfused in all active units. The mind of man, working so strangely, has always been drawing inspiration and energy for the divine power. A sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns and the round ocean and the living air and the blue sky and in the mind of man. He is omnipresent. It is imperfection of our vision that we don't perceive him. Okay. Nature, a permanent source of joy. Nature becomes a permanent source of joy to Wordsworth. The beauty of nature fills the poet's heart with true joy. Whenever he is fed up noisy city life, he thinks about the beautiful place whose sweet memory had sometime filled his mind with true joy. The joy reaches his soul with the circulations of blood. He forgets his misery of life. For example, he enjoys himself in the restored experience of the beautiful sight of Tinton Abbey, but of it in lonely rooms and amid the din of towns and cities. I have owed to them in hours of weariness, sensation sweet, felt in the blood and felt along the heart and passing even into my purest mind with tranquil restoration. Okay. Next point is nature, a sublime source of blessed mood. Sweet memory, a beautiful object of nature, fills the poet's mind with true joy. This joy reaches his soul with the circulation of blood and transport his mind into that sublime mode in which he succeeds in recognizing the hidden reality of all things. In this state, he resolves all the complex ambiguities of human world. All secrets are disclosed, nothing remains mysterious. Every activity of the universe becomes intelligent to his mind. That blessed mode in which the burden of the mystery, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all his unintelligible word, it is lightened. Next point is nature, a true source of perfect education. The poet succeeds to prove that nature is our best teacher. He supports his viewpoint by presenting the development of a girl named Lucy. She grows in open nature. She faced sun, heat as well as cold winds. Her life is free from the artificiality. Nature is her teacher. She gets education in the most untraditional way. Open nature becomes her book. She plays everywhere and feels that nature is keeping a watchful eye on her to encourage good feeling and discourage vices. Myself will to my darling be both law and impulse and with me, the girl in rock and plain, in earth and heaven, in glade and bower, shall feel an overseeing power to kindly or restrain. Okay. All the beautiful objects of nature attract the poet in the beginning. He became a passionate lover of nature. It was the first stage in his love for nature. At this time, he did not love nature for any sublime purpose. His sole interest was to feel its beauty in his eyes, like that passionate lover who stares at his beloved's face all the time. Next point is conclusion. Okay. Wordsworth is a great poet. His poetry is devoted to social reform. He wishes to solve human problems and he gives important suggestion for that. In this way, he becomes a teacher to the whole human world. It makes his tone satire towards imperfection to human society. Wordsworth holds the highest place among all poets in English. His whole is devoted to the love to nature, though at different ages his love changes its aspect. For example, in the beginning of his life, he loves nature for its outward attraction, but this love leads him to the emotional as well as an mystical love to nature. So we can say that Wordsworth is a great nature poet. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.